Enter Admiral Michael Rogers, the stoic director of the National Security Agency. Rogers had seen the writing on the wall. In the days following the election, he made a clandestine visit to Trump Tower, bypassing the usual channels. This wasn't just a courtesy call, it was a warning. Rogers revealed the extent of the surveillance, the illegal wiretaps, the unmasking of communications, the weaponization of intelligence agencies against a duly elected president. Trump, ever the fighter, recognized the existential threat. He authorized a counter-operation, a digital insurgency to expose the corruption from within, without leaving fingerprints that could be traced back to the White House. The timing was perfect. The deep state had overplayed their hand with the Russia hoax, but they were vulnerable elsewhere. Pizzagate had already erupted in late 2016, a grassroots frenzy sparked by WikiLeaks' explosive drops of John Podesta's emails revealing cryptic codes, bizarre art collections, and connections to elite circles that smelled of something far darker.
In all, WikiLeaks dumped around 50,000 email messages, and it was from those emails that the claims that John Podesta may be part of a child sex trafficking ring come from. Now, this is where things start to get strange when you research this story. Now, to begin, I need to show you a 2007 unclassified FBI document. That document, according to the FBI, contains commonly used symbols by pedophiles to express their preference in children. The pizza place next door to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, Besta Pizza, well, this was their logo until only a few weeks ago. Interestingly, after Pizzagate investigators pointed this out, Besta Pizza changed their logo, and there it is now. They've removed the triangle. Two of the groups that performed there, who you can see advertised, by the way, on this Comet Ping Pong poster, include a group called Heavy Breathing and another group called Sex Stains. And the band Sex Stains has a video that includes, and you see it right there, is a pedophile code symbol for boy love. As for the owner of the pizza place, James Alfantis, well, he was one time in a relationship with David Brock, who ran Media Matters for America. Now let's talk about the Podesta brothers, because remember, it was John Podesta's email that was hacked. In those leaked Podesta emails, John Podesta talks about his close relationship with Dennis Hastert, the former Speaker of the House, who was recently sentenced to 15 months in prison for abusing boys years ago. According to the Washington Post, visitors to Tony Podesta's home in Falls Church got an eyeful when they walked into a bedroom at the Podesta residence hung with multiple color pictures by Katie Grannon, a photographer known for documentary-style pictures of naked teenagers in their parents' suburban homes.
WikiLeaks had cracked open the vault, exposing pay-to-play schemes, spirit-cooking dinners, and a web of influence peddling that reached into the highest echelons. The public was awakening, but it was scattered, unfocused. The operation would piggyback on this momentum, channeling the outrage into a unified front. With Trump's nod, Rogers gave the green light to the Army of Northern Virginia, a term whispered in intelligence circles referring to elite units within U.S. military intelligence. These weren't your average desk jockeys. They were cyber warriors, analysts, and PSYOP specialists trained in the art of information warfare. Their mission? Take full control of a covert information dissemination operation. But here's where the genius lay: in building in layers of plausible deniability. No direct links to official channels, no paper trails. The operation would masquerade as organic, emerging from the anonymous underbelly of the internet, far from the prying eyes of the deep state operators embedded in the FBI, CIA, and beyond. As the storm gathered intensity, Admiral Rogers' operation hummed in the background like a well-oiled machine, invisible to the deep state sentinels, yet potent enough to shift the tides of information warfare. With plausible deniability baked into every layer, the Army of Northern Virginia's digital architects ensured that Q's drops appeared as nothing more than the ramblings of an internet phantom. But behind the veil, the real game was unfolding. President Trump, ever the master communicator, and his trusted social media maestro, Dan Scavino, stepped into the fray. They began crafting tweets that weren't just off-the-cuff remarks. They were precision-guided missiles loaded with subtle nods to Q's prophecies.
we all know there's nothing better in life than golden retrievers, but there's something else that's gold that's really important that we should all have. And that's why my friends over at Genesis Gold have partnered with me to help you out and deliver this important message. The deep state and global banking cartel have achieved their next operation, the gold reset. Foreign central banks are hoarding gold, dumping US dollars, and preparing for an overnight dollar collapse.
Genesis Gold Group has uncovered the three-phase plan already in motion. Phase 1, central banks abandoning the dollar, stockpiling gold at unprecedented levels. Sound familiar? Phase 2, Treasury preparing for gold revaluation using a 1973 loophole. Phase 3, the official gold reset. The dollar collapse without warning.
When this hits, retirement accounts and savings could vanish while the elites escape behind the walls of physical gold they've created.
That's why Genesis Gold Group is offering their free report, Surviving the Great Gold Reset, Your Financial Protection Plan. Visit justinformedgold.com immediately to receive your free survival report. That's justinformedgold.com, your last line of defense against the coming dollar collapse and financial reset we all know is coming. All right, thanks to my friends over at Genesis Gold, and remember, go to justinformedgold.com to get your survival report today for free. That's justinformedgold.com. Go check it out. Now back to the show. Enter the deltas, those tantalizing time gaps between a Q drop and a Trump tweet, often sinking down to the minute or even the second. These weren't coincidences. They were winks from the Oval Office, proofs etched into timestamps for those with eyes to see. Picture this. Q posts a cryptic message about the storm is upon us, and exactly 17 minutes later, 17 for the 17th letter of the alphabet Q's signature, Trump fires off a tweet echoing the theme, railing against the fake news or the swamp dwellers, or Q hints at sealed indictments stacking up, and boom, a zero delta hit. Trump tweets within a minute using phrases that mirror the drop word for word. Hundreds of these alignments piled up over the years, from 2017 onward, turning skeptics into believers. It was Scavino at the helm, scheduling these digital breadcrumbs to validate Q without ever uttering the name. No direct confirmation, just enough synergy to ignite the movement. Future proves past, Q would say, and Trump's feed made it real. But this wasn't about validation. It was about mobilization. The Q operation birthed a digital army. Millions of Anons, patriots, and citizen sleuths armed with memes, threads, and unyielding scrutiny. They weren't passive spectators. They were warriors in the info trenches, trained to decode, dig, and disseminate. This grassroots force turned its fire on the deep state's enablers, the fake news liars peddling the Russiagate hoax, night after night, twisting every Trump move into evidence of treason. CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, they amplified the Mueller witch hunt, the Steele dossier fairy tale, all while ignoring the real scandals bubbling from WikiLeaks and Pizzagate. The digital soldiers countered with viral exposés, hashtag campaigns like hashtag fake news and hashtag Russia hoax, forcing retractions and eroding public trust in the media machine. Then came the big tech oligarchs, Zuckerberg, Dorsey, Pichai, the gatekeepers who saw Trump's massive online support as an existential threat.
Conservative can put it, but not be censored, not be questioned, and certainly not be grilled by a panel of his peers on CNN. Why is it that it's happening to me and other Trump conservatives and other conservatives in general?
If I see another Republican office holder backed by Google and the Chamber of Commerce lecture me that it's not really censorship because the government isn't doing it, just a monopoly that exists because of the government, I'm going to go bananas.
As the Russia narrative faltered, they ramped up the plot. Mass censorship under the guise of combating misinformation, shadow bans, account suspensions, algorithm tweaks. They aimed to silence Trump's voice, to cut off his direct line to 80 million followers and derail his mission to drain the swamp. But the digital army pushed back hard. Petitions flooded Congress, Boycotts hit ad revenues, and whistleblowers leaked internal documents showing biased moderation. Q drops fueled the fight, urging Anons to fight the censorship and use other platforms. Parler, Gab, Truth Social, they became battlegrounds where the truth evaded the Silicon Valley censors. And don't forget, the corrupt members of Congress, the rhinos and deep state Democrats like Schiff, Pelosi, and McCain's ghost, facilitating the hoax from Capitol Hill.
The committee will also seek to discredit law enforcement like the FBI, who are so important in the fight against domestic violent extremism. Republicans in Congress just don't care. The greatest terrorist threat to our country comes from violent right-wing militia groups and their sympathizers, and Republicans in Congress just don't care.
They leaked classified intel, staged sham hearings, and drafted articles of impeachment based on smoke and mirrors, all to arrest a president for crimes he never committed. The digital soldiers exposed their ties, campaign donations from Soros, backroom deals with big tech, complicity in the FISA abuses. Memes mocked their hypocrisy. Threads traced their corruption to Ukraine, kickbacks, and Clinton Foundation slush funds. This was the beauty of it. A president under siege, using an anonymous operation to rally an unstoppable force. The deep state thought they could censor their way to victory, but Trump's monumental support, amplified by the Q-awakened army, turned the tables. The Russia hoax crumbled under its own weight. No collusion, just a failed coup. Yet, the fight raged on with every delta, every tweet, every meme chipping away at the empire of lies. Was it all orchestrated or divine intervention? You tell me.